Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to Business Innovators Radio. This is your host, Constant Taylor. Today, we have a very special guest on the show, and they're going to share some very exciting information with us. So, if you're looking to increase your personal and professional effectiveness, then you've come to the right place. Our special guest today is Richard Gasaway. Richard has been speaking professionally for over 10 years, and the primary content that he speaks on is situational awareness and high-risk decision-making. He has spoken both nationally and internationally and is based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. He has a new book that just came out about a month ago, which is the third in a series called Situational Awareness Matters, Volume 3. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to have the opportunity to speak with you this morning.
And we're really glad that you took time out of your busy schedule to join us. I would like to kick off the show by asking you if you could tell the listeners a little bit about your business and how you help your clients become more effective in what they do.
Sure. The focus of my passion is to help individuals and teams use situational awareness to improve high-risk, high-consequence decision-making. So those folks who work in environments where they have to make decisions under stress and time compression, I help them to understand how situational awareness becomes the foundation for making those good decisions, and hopefully then lead to better decision-making in the moment, which is something that a lot of folks really struggle with, especially when there's time compression and pressure for deadlines and things like that. So that's the focus and my passion.
Okay. Well, it seems like a very relevant topic and something that many of us could use, including myself. I know just yesterday I was on the phone, had a sales call, and someone was, really moving me to make a decision, and it was an incredible opportunity. Basically, a 70% off if I was to act at that time, and I was tempted, but I didn't. I slept on it. When I woke up in the morning, there was 5 reasons why I should not have made that deal, and I'm glad I did. But what are some of the steps that you take your clients through in terms of analyzing and being aware of critical decisions and how to go through that process?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it essentially is a 2-step process, and the process is there's some customization depending on the nature of the business that the client is in. For example, the majority of the clients that I work with are police officers, firefighters, medical personnel, people who work in factories and foundries who are making decisions with a lot of moving parts and conditions that are changing. So I would start out by making sure that they have a very good foundational understanding about what situational awareness is, because that's really where a lot of folks struggle, is they, I think, intuitively know that situational awareness is important to have, but they don't necessarily know how to develop it, how to maintain it, how to realize when it might be eroding, and then how to strengthen it once it has started perhaps the process of erosion. So I start with making sure that they just have a very good, solid understanding about what situational awareness is and the process for how it's developed. And then we would segue into the what I call the barriers to situational awareness, those things that can cause situational awareness to be disrupted or eroded. And that's really where it becomes customized, because it is unique to whatever the circumstances or the environment is for a particular client. For example, what causes issues of situational awareness in one factory might be very different from another, or from what firefighters face, or from what might erode it in an operating room. in a hospital. So working with the clients and asking questions, and then sometimes doing field visits and observing their work environment, these things pop out to me, and then I can customize the program to help them understand and manage these barriers that challenge situational awareness. And then once we've got the good handle on that, then I teach them how to use situational awareness as the process, or as the foundational process for making a good decision. And a person doesn't have to have good situational awareness to make a good decision. They can be lucky and make their decisions without strong situational awareness. But what I want to do is help folks to kind of program the luck out of it and make sure that they have a very good understanding of what is happening before they pull the trigger and make their decisions.
Now, very good point. You mentioned programming, which is seems like it's a real key in what you do. I thought about sports and repetitions. They talk a lot about reps, so that these guys have gone over something 1,000 times, so that when they get into that critical game situation, 3 minutes to go, it's 4th and 1, and they're able to execute automatically with police officers and medical. It seems like repetition and kind of going over those simulations many times would be also critical as well.
Well, it can be very helpful and it can be very harmful, and it depends on whether the situation that the emergent situation that they're dealing with, that their previous history of sets and rep development fits what's happening at the moment. If it fits, and then they go into the automatic mode, the muscle memory mode, and perform that, and it fit the situation, they're well on their way to having a great outcome. But if the circumstance, even because there's stress and consequence and time compression, if it doesn't fit how they've prepped themselves with their sets and reps, and then they go into automatic mode and perform based on that history of practice and repetition, and it doesn't fit the current situation, then what they're going to have is a bad outcome, and then people are going to look at them and criticize them and say, how dumb that they did this. It's everybody can clearly see they should have done that, but they did this. Why did they do this? And as I help folks back the clock up to understand how this happens, we back it up and we see how they were trained, and often see that the seemingly dumb thing that they did in the moment was actually a direct reflection of how they had been trained to respond in the moment. It's just the situation didn't quite fit the action that they had been planned and prepared for. Does that make sense for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it makes perfect sense. Yeah, if you're able to replicate the right situation at the right time, good outcome. If it's the wrong situation at the wrong time, bad outcome. Makes sense. Right. So, what are one or two popular misconceptions about the service that you provide, and how do you dispel those?
Yeah, well, probably the most popular one is that people think that the situational awareness is simply paying attention. So long as you pay attention to your environment, you're solid. So long as you keep your head on a swivel, or look up, down, and all around, or actively listen to the things that are happening around you, that you'll have strong situational awareness. But really, what those folks who believe that to be all of it don't understand is that's just the beginning of it. That's just the starting point of situational awareness development. Then it has to progress into understanding. As you're looking at something, you may not at all understand what you're looking at. As you're listening to something, you may not at all understand what you're listening to. And then you can have other things happen, like sensory conflict. Like the eye sees something that says, "What's going on is A," but at the very same time, the ears hear, No, what's going on is B. And this then creates some conflict. There's some confusion inside the brain. The example that I like to use, it easily demonstrates this, is if you get, I like Bath and Body Works has this foaming hand soap called Peach Bellini. It smells awesome. If you take that hand soap, rub it on your hands, close your eyes, and smell the hand soap, it smells just like fresh cut peaches. But then if you taste it, it doesn't taste like fresh cut peaches. It tastes like hand soap.
Mm-hmm.
And this creates sensory conflict because with the eyes closed, the smell sets up the expectation that you're going to taste peaches. But then when you taste it, then you've got this big alarm bell going off inside of your head saying, oh my God, what in the world just happened here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's full expectation that the peaches were going to be the taste, and now I got this acrid, nasty taste. And remember, we've closed the eye, so we're kind of removing the sense that it will allow us to see that it's not peaches. But this is how conflict can occur among the senses as one example of how your situational awareness can be impacted based on this conflict of the senses. Does that make sense for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Now, when, it seems like there would be a huge demand for your services, with the things that have been going on in the media with, police officers, accidentally, or, shooting, unarmed folks and things like that. Is this, have you seen, an uptick in your business or, was that the, kind of the motivation for kind of moving in that direction?
Well, no, that was that. I've been doing this long before the current state of affairs, the way that you frame up.
Mm-hmm.
But what I am seeing is now more interest in people trying to understand how to make high risk decisions in the moment. And in defense of the police officers, I'm not here to judge a good police officer from a bad police officer, but if given the opportunity and the chance, I can certainly help people understand how difficult it is to take in, process, understand, and then execute a decision all with just in a matter of seconds under stress and time compression with changing conditions. And again, not in defense of anyone's actions, I can certainly see how the cards get stacked in a way that makes those decisions extremely, extremely difficult. And then after the fact, after the outcome of the decision, if the outcome of the decision is good, we all hail the person as brilliant. But if the outcome of the decision is bad, then it's very easy for us who were not in those conditions to be able to analyze it after the fact and throw criticism toward what the person should have done instead of what they actually did do. But we have the benefit of the hindsight of the outcome of the decision, that, without the stress that they were under. I'm seeing some uptick in interest in those areas. I got contacted by the TSA with some interest in having some situational awareness training for the airport screeners, and I thought that was interesting because it's not necessarily an audience that I focus my message to, but they found me through my website, and I don't do a lot of advertising of my business. People tend to find me either through the podcast or through magazine articles or through word of mouth, and that's how I've been able to sustain and grow my business. Is that happy clients tell other clients, and then I get a phone call or an email, and I don't have I don't have an awesome marketing department or an awesome marketing plan. I use social media and certainly share out a lot of messages on social media, and that has helped folks to find me as well. But I just kind of stay below the radar and keep my nose to the grindstone and stay passionate to my message. And the business has been able to find me in ways that make me very, very happy.
Yeah. Well, I personally think that the services that you provide are of high value, and I am not judging any situations or anything like that, but I know that there is a need for law enforcement to take a look at their existing processes and see if better decisions can be made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as we talked earlier about training and repetitions, that develop automatic performance under stress. And then when the person gets stressed, then they go into automatic mode and perform based on training. And then you have a bad outcome. Just kind of really all ties back to how the conversation began here, is that if the situation doesn't necessarily fit the packaged pre-scripted sets and reps and repetition training, they may go into automatic mode and perform that way. It really in the moment without much conscious thought. Mm-hmm. It's truly just an automatic mode, and if it fits, then we say what a great action this person took. But if it doesn't fit, then we're quick to jump to the criticisms. And when I look at how organizations train, these disconnects become very, very apparent to me. It's kind of like in that movie with Haley Joel Osment, where he's Sixth Sense, where he says, "I see dead people." Now, I don't see dead people, but I do see the connections. I mean, it just pops at me to see the connections between how people train and then how they perform and how it results in bad outcomes. And when I connect these dots for folks and point it out to them, it's almost like they couldn't see it, like they were blind to. They couldn't see what was right in front of them, and it's so obvious to me, and I often marvel at that and think to myself, how could you not see it? It's so obvious. And then I point it out, and then it is so obvious, and they have that moment of clarity that, oh goodness, yes, now I see it.
Yeah. A blinding glimpse of the obvious.
Yeah. Well, obvious to me, not so obvious to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very fast. I'm looking at the time here, and it's boom. We've come to the conclusion, which it's always always happens when we have great content like yours. But I'd like for you to, if you could, convey one idea, thought, or concept to the listeners, so that if they don't get anything else out of this discussion, this is what I'd like to leave the audience with.
Yeah, I guess in a very quick summary, I would like to share with the audience just a little lesson about what situational awareness is, a good working definition, and then if they want to learn more, they can Google it or they can go to my website and get resources to learn more. Situational awareness is a person's ability to perceive and understand what is happening in the environment around them in the context of how time is passing, and then in turn be able to predict future events, hopefully in time, to avoid a bad outcome. And there's three primary.
Could you repeat the three things again for the listeners?
Mm-hmm. Perceive, understand, and predict.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And now, if the listeners would like to get in contact with you, learn more about your services, and possibly engage with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Probably the best way would be to go to my website. I've got over 300 articles that I've written on there. They're all free to read and download. I've got over 80 podcast episodes focused totally on situational awareness and close calls. I interview people who've had near misses, and they get to share their stories. So if they want to visit the website, it's just chock full of resources for them. The website is Situational Awareness Matters, and the web address is SA for Situational Awareness, SAMatters.com. And if they want to get in contact with me, there's a contact me link right there on the homepage. Okay.
Now, could you define matters? Is it MATT or the?
Yeah. Thank you. It's MATTERS.
Okay, great. Great. Okay, Richard, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. That was really fascinating information that you shared with the listeners, and we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come on the show and to have this conversation with you. I was just so excited to have the chance. I'm so sorry that 15 minutes goes so fast.
I know.
But I so appreciate the chance to be with you this morning.
Hey, likewise. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.